Welcome back to Building the Dream, a podcast brought to you by Aura Surfaces. Today, I wanted to sit down with the incredible Loui. Now, Loui founded Clay International back just after COVID, and he is the sole distributor for Infinity Slabs in the UK. Now, we're talking huge porcelain slabs. And I wanted to sit down with Loui because I think it's an industry that's rapidly evolving and not many people understand the possibilities and the versatility of using porcelain. So without further ado, welcome, Loui. How are you doing?
Hello, Ashley. Yeah, nice to be invited. I was hoping that I would have been your first ever podcast, but you've told me I'm like number 30 on the list, which is a bit disappointing.
Yeah, but I had to build up. I had to get better at it first before I got someone of your calibre in to talk about stuff.
Very, very decent of you to say that. Yeah, I've not done a podcast before, so this is quite interesting. No. I'm a talker, so it should flow, hopefully, and it should be reasonably natural.
So, just a short backstory on you. When did clay come about? Where did clay come from? Now, obviously, I know you've got background in the natural stone industry, which I'm guessing kind of spurred this adventure. So tell us a little about your venture with clay.
Well, clay, I decided to invest in clay. I actually purchased my first container probably about 2 or 3 months before COVID and the close down came. And I'm quite a lucky guy, but we've got our first full truck from Italy. And then everything stopped and closed, and we just thought, wow, this is going to be quite an interesting situation because we couldn't get into any of the showrooms. The government was trying to work out who stays open, who closes. And so you can imagine we took on all this stock and all this sort of sales literature and samples, and we just had no showrooms that we could go into. It was a very, very strange time. But I believed in the product. And I would say the main reason I got into the product, as you mentioned earlier, I've been in the marble business for well over 40 years now, as an apprentice, then as a stonemason, working in the factories, polishing and cutting, then as an installer, then running your own small business from London, in central London, in Battersea. We got our first premises there, rented our first premises there. And when you have a small business like that, you're doing all aspects from surveying to measuring to cutting to installing. It's only me and one other guy in a railway arch in Battersea. And that's where we started. So, but I'd had my background in the luxury marble business from the start as an apprentice. And when I first came into that industry, stone was just at the starting to be used as kitchen worktops in the UK 40 odd years ago. Prior to that, it was mainly wooden worktops or laminate or formica. And then suddenly, I think it was Mark Wilkinson started getting these really thick white marble worktops from Carrara. And I had an egg and dark finish on the front. And the small, tiny factory I was working for in West Norwood as an apprentice used to take delivery of these sort of semi-finished stones from Italy. And then we'd cut the bowl cutouts in them and the hob cutouts, and we'd help with installation. But my God, there's no lifting equipment. And these things were like 2.5, 3 inches thick. It was amazing. And then it moved from that onto granite worktops, and it really took off. And then the industry became very focused on worktops. So that's, I suppose, where I started. And then when I went self-employed, and I went into, as I say, into railway arches, the biggest focus, the easiest thing to make money on were the kitchen worktops, but it became a very crowded market just because of the nature of the product. Even though I'd been trained on doing floors and walls and bathrooms and skirtings and dados, lots of people were going into the kitchen worktops because you're literally just cutting legs with bowl cutouts, drainer grooves and sinks, etc. And you can make really good money out of it, as we all did not 40 years ago, probably 30 years ago now. So I had a good understanding on the kitchen worktops. But from a stone perspective, we were always working in slabs. So you'd get these slabs coming in from all over from Italy and Spain, Portugal, Brazil, but mainly distributed through Italy. So being in the marble business, you're always used to handling slabs. So sort of 3 meters by 1.8, 1.9 meters. And that was what you were always getting used to. And then to cut out a huge boring chunk of my career, if you jump forward to say 10, 15 years ago, there was a big burst in using calicata and statuary. It became very fashionable. The designers liked it. It's a beautiful product. And the prices of it just literally it was a commodity basically that's being managed by 5 or 6 families in Italy that quarry from the Calicata Statutory Abascato quarry. And just the price of it just grew and grew and grew as the demand became more and more and more and more. Literally something that you could pay 180 euros a square metre for over a period of 6 or 7 years, went from, as I say, 160, 180 a square metre euros to 700-800 euros a square metre. And it became challenging, became difficult. And then over that time, during those buying periods when I was in Italy searching for these products, because there's a big demand for it, every now and then I'd go to a yard, to one of my suppliers, and they'd point at something down the other end of their huge yard and say, what do you think of those slabs? And I'd look at it and think, it's not real. And they'd say to me, how can you tell from this distance? And I was saying, well, one, it's just absolutely perfect. You just, even from this distance, it's like the dream of all Calicata slabs. And 2, you wouldn't be showing it to me. If you had it, you'd have it hidden round somewhere for someone else to buy privately for a villa in Russia or China, and you'd be charging them a fortune for it. You wouldn't have it on display. And then I was introduced to this porcelain that was coming through, and I understood my perspective on it. I felt was that the porcelain industry looked at what was going on in the marble industry and saw an opportunity and just thought, hang on a second, we've been hearing for years and years and years how much this commodity is being sold for, and it's growing and growing and growing. And we've got facilities that will be able to mimic that and replicate it and be reasonably consistent with how it appears and how it looks and sell it for a lot cheaper. Plus, instead of it being 20 millimetres or 30 millimetres thick, we can sell it and make it in 6, 12 and 20 millimetres thick in 2 different finishes. So I understood the process, but when I was looking at that product, because the company that I have and that was sort of purchasing, manufacturing and installing that stuff was working at such a high end, it really was absolutely top end in the UK luxury market. Thinking my clients probably don't really want porcelain in where I'm putting the real stuff. Plus, there's certain limitations with porcelain, such as mouldings and skirtings and et cetera, et cetera. You can't put heavily moulded door architraves made out of porcelain. You just can't do that yet.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, possibly. But I could understand the benefits in it. So on all these trips over quite a few years, from an entrepreneurial perspective, I thought, well, how can I get involved in this business, but without diluting the business that I've spent my whole adult life growing? I'm thinking about it, but I was very, very busy, sort of working in my day job, as it were, for Livra. Until in the end, as Livra started to grow, and I got some really good guys in there that helped on the management. We were talking about the estimating and the operation side. As we became more structured, it actually gave me as the owner more time.
Yeah.
And it's such a luxury if you're fortunate enough to have the right people around you in a small business, to be the business owner, to be able to trust these guys who are really, really ingrained in the business and really believe in the business. In some of the departments that they're in, they don't want the boss hanging around there anymore. You're only just going to get in the way and give them an opinion. So they're actually...
Go away, Louis, go on.
Exactly.
Get back in the truck up to Manchester. Go
exactly.
on, we've had enough.
Thinking, yeah, exactly. So they pushed me away, and it gave me time to think about what I could do, what the next venture may be. And I like the idea of having a wholesale business. I didn't want to have another manufacturing business. And through other investments that I had in the past, I realised that any time I stray from property or the marble business, I lost money very, very quickly. But this felt slightly different because although it wasn't property and it wasn't marble, it was involved in the industry and the sector that I felt that I knew a lot about. And I just felt that there was some growth in it. I could visualise a larger sector than the super luxury end, which is a fraction of 1%. I mean, some of the stuff that Livra's doing and its competitors, friendly competitors and competitors, the high-end residential in London we're all like Savile Row suit makers. We're running very, very complicated businesses, working for the best designers, architects and contractors on for normally very high profile people, or people that are incredibly wealthy, and there are challenges to running businesses like that. Not just in the complexities when it comes to growth, because there's a finite amount of people that can do the jobs that need to be done to deliver the final product. And I felt that through wholesale, potentially, it was far less touch points with the clients being wholesale. Have you got it? Yes, we have. Have you got it in this finish? Yes, we have. Have you got it in this thickness? Yes, we have. How much is it? And that's the price, and when can you have it delivered? There's like sort of half a dozen questions. Whereas when you're doing super high-end residential and you're doing
there's a lot of moving parts.
We might finish a project in London. If we were to get all the emails together from the and the interactions between the contractors, designers, like all of the design sort of combinations and bringing everything together, I'm sure that the guys in the industry will bear me up on this. You have 10, 15, 20,000 emails just to deliver one job. That's okay, but I just didn't want two businesses like that. So I think that's the really long and the short of it. That's like the very extended version of why I got involved. I felt comfortable because it was slabs, and I understand slabs and I understand cutting. And it was a bigger sector that I felt, it was that sector below the super wealthy, who still use porcelain, by the way, but I just felt like, hang on a second, I could be shifting a lot of this porcelain if I get it right, if I can get the logistics right.
And you had the knowledge and the things you need to move porcelain slabs, but we'll go into that. We'll go into that a little bit later. So the porcelain industry, I know it probably better than you.
Oh, a lot better than I do. I was here.
Now, it's evolving quicker than anything I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm back in the day, obviously I've been in the porcelain ceramic industry for 25 years.
Okay.
A long time, a lot of my life from when I was a kid. My dad had a retail shop, and I've seen it go from, you had a choice between a tile that big, matching wall and floor, 5 colours, that was it, madam. That's all you're getting. Now, the industry, I mean the slabs, the possibilities, the 4D printing on the slabs. So it's opened up a massive, massive opportunity for people to be able to have that marble look, but in a slab.
Yeah.
The honed and the soft finishes is just, you've got to touch it to believe it.
So is it almost too much choice now? Does it? If your father was sitting here, would you have said, "Oh my God, it was so much easier"?
There's too much, and I think clients find it really, really difficult because there are good quality slabs, there are rushed slabs, and bad quality slabs.
Okay.
Now you and I know that it's a scientific process to making the slabs. They have to heat up and they have to cool down at a certain rate, or they're brittle. So it's no good having a 6mm slab, 1.6, 3.2. You've got to cut it and it shears off. Yeah. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of risk.
So it's important to, I feel like, obviously I've been behind clay for a hell of a long time. Yeah. We've worked together on a few jobs, and it's very, very important that you trust the person, the supplier, the quality, etc. But the UK surface industry is mental at the moment. There's so much choice. There's so much going on. And yeah.
Does it feel very fragmented to you does it feel a bit daunting to you? I feel quite fortunate in a way, because my strategy was to find a supplier that I could work from in Europe, and just stick to one supplier. So I actually met the guys from Infinity in China. I went with a friend who was buying marble in China, and he asked me if I wanted to go. I'd been a couple of times with him, and I had no reason to go to China at the time. I didn't really want to, but he's a very good friend. And I said, okay, look, I'll come with you, but I'm really only going to go to see if I can hook up with some sort of porcelain people. I'm looking to set up a new business, so I'll come with you. And when I was over there, I was speaking to multiple people, and I met the guys from Infinity there, who are, as you know, are part of the Concord groups. It's huge. They're only a sort of small arm, as you like, of their core business, which is the normal tiles. And although when I look at your business and I look at other people's porcelain business, there are so many different suppliers out there. And I just looked at it and I just thought, well, I can't. It's just too much. You can have containers and lorries turning up every week. And what do I do with all this spare stock? The thing with Portland, I'm sure even more so in the tile business, if I'm buying 20 slabs of a certain colour, of a certain thickness, of a certain finish, you can guarantee there's always one or two that are going to be left over that just can be sitting there forever. And you can guarantee the next person that wants them doesn't want two, they want three. So off we go again with another bit. So there's a lot to consider. So in a way, I wanted to keep it simple. But when I listen to people like yourself talking, and I listen to other people who are in what I would call the tile business, who are far more understanding of it, it's just so many suppliers. It's a very crowded, fragmented industry.
There's so many suppliers and they're not all made equal.
Although they will say that they are.
They would say that they are. And it makes a huge difference turning that kiln up that's 400 metres long. You would have seen these kilns, the amount of gas they burnt. When we had the gas problem with the gas.
Yes.
And the prices went from 25 euros a cubic metre to 300. That's a hell of a lot of money for the factories. So what if they can turn their production up, their gas, their kiln up, the speed up by 30%? They can produce 30% more product for the same price. You had brittle. You don't want brittle tiles.
Yeah.
You don't want stuff. So it's really important to understand that when it comes to fabricating porcelain. And yeah, you can buy slabs for X and you can buy slabs for Y. There's a reason that they're Y.
Yeah.
You need the support from the people like Clay.
Yeah.
Who check the quality, who look after it, who know what they're buying. But how do you see the large format industry in the UK?
It's
for porcelain.
It's a really interesting. I think we're quite in an interesting phase, and I don't know how big that phase is going to go. I can't be able to tell you until I look back on, hopefully, on my career. And when I was speaking to someone recently, I was describing it as really interesting. We just sell large format. That's all we're interested in. That's the space that we're in. We only sell Infinity. That's the company that we've nailed our colours to the mast, as it were. And they give us amazing support. They're good guys. They're really, really sort of flying the Clay and Infinity flag together. So that's where we are with that particular product. My perspective on it is you've got the porcelain guys who understand porcelain, understand ceramics, have been in the industry for years, whether it's on the selling or the installation side of it. But they don't really understand slabs to a degree. Suddenly they've got these, whether it's 278 by 120, or even worse for them, 320 by 160, these enormous slabs. And they're like, Christ, how do we get it off the lorry? Where do we stack it? How do we cut it? I know they've got all the equipment, but they're having to go into a space that they've never been into before. And then you've got the stone guys on the other side who are very much 320 by 160. That's small. We could like 3.6 by 2.2, 30 mil, 40 mil thick. It's like no problem for us. We can handle it, move it around the yard, do whatever with it. It's not a problem. But then they're like, but porcelain, we don't really understand the product. So there's this chunk in the middle which is quite grey. Now, there are some people that by nature I think are quite brave from an entrepreneurial perspective, from what I see out there to the people that we're selling to. And sometimes in the grey areas, that's where the best money is, because that's been going for years and years. So there's a fixed rate on that. And that's been going for years and years. So there's a fixed rate on it. But there's a little bit of a grey area here that needs investigating, needs investing in, and it's going to have some challenges. And so I suppose that's a space that we found ourselves in. And I can't say that we've been clear from the very start with regards to strategy and stuck to it. We've had to be quite organic and think, well, look, this is where we think we should be going, only to think, well, actually, that's not quite working for us on who we're selling it to and what we're selling it to, and are they our customers and are they the right people to be dealing with? So, okay, well, let's try a little bit over here. You've got the worktop sector, which is a huge sector, which the producers get quite excited about, because the worktop sector, both globally and when you separate it into countries across the world like America and UK and France, Germany, etc., they're huge industries. I mean, like the amount of kitchens that are being pumped out, they all need worktops on them. So the 20 and the 12 mil is sort of used for that. But then you've got the 6 millimetre thick slabs, and some producers, as you know, produce even thinner slabs, and that's going really mainly into the bathroom section, the finishing. So it's a completely different industry and a completely different way of processing it. But both, we serve both, but they're both very, very different clients, and it's getting the team within your company to understand that. So you have to wear a few different hats when you're speaking to some people. You can't just have one mantra all the way along. It won't work in this industry. And it's about understanding the challenges that those guys are going to have when they're putting their hands on that material. What are they thinking? How can we help them? How can we support them? Etc. So it's there's a lot of work to be done, and I don't think it's probably quite a good space to be in if you're like a gambling man like me, because I might do all right out of it. I might look back and think, well, that was a complete waste of time and money. But I'd rather, after 40 years in one business, and I've still got Lever, and Lever's doing very well. It's thriving, fortunately, because of the sector that it works within. Although that will get very crowded now, and in the challenging times, people that work in sectors that are doing well. The people that are working in other sectors but related to that business, they don't close their businesses down for 5 years and wait till it gets better. They will start to squeeze into where the work is. And I've explained that to my guys in no uncertain terms. Don't
get complacent.
Don't get complacent. Don't take it for granted, because we're going to lose some projects now to people that maybe shouldn't be in our sector but will be, and they have to price their businesses, have to survive. And good luck to them, and they'll be on their journeys within their businesses. But at least I haven't got to worry about that at the moment. I've got a really good, strong team in a company that's got a decent reputation. But here it's quite exciting, and I quite like, I don't know, swimming against the current, I suppose, and just this feels like a puzzle that I'm trying to crack.
Yeah.
And I feel that if I can crack it, because the sector is that much bigger, it could really take off.
Well, the UK is behind on it massively.
Yeah.
They're using the porcelain, the large format, the fabrication, the worktops and stuff. The UK market is massively behind on it.
But that's a cultural thing in the UK. They don't really like new products.
No.
We're a bit like...
And the installers don't want to trial it.
What a new product. Why? We're doing all right. No one's asking for new products, because we don't produce new products in the UK, do we? If you think about it.
Well, we don't produce anything anymore, do we? But that's a story for another day. That's the story.
But do you understand what I mean? I think it's a cultural thing. We're quite... I mean, my parents are Portuguese, but I do class I'm a bit of a mongrel, but I grew up and I was born and bred in the UK, so I have the benefit of both to a degree. But even just that statement, when you think about it, and it's not something that should be overlooked, we're forward-thinking maybe in our service industries and the way that we do things. We're quite clever with banking, insurance and all those stuff that me and you have to pay for, but we never see the benefit of anything. And we don't quite understand, maybe because we didn't have the education, the upbringing in that. And there are some people making some serious money out of that, in the service industry. But when it comes to new products, there genuinely is
slow on the uptake.
Slow on the uptake, and why?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's why are you showing this to me? I think, okay, look, give it to me. I'll put it in a drawer. If someone asks for it, I might take it out begrudgingly.
Well, prime example, I reckon it was just before COVID. I went out to Italy to see a few factories.
Okay.
And I went to a factory. I went to the ABK group, who are well known. I would say they're very advanced for their slabs and their vein-through technology and stuff. And the whole showroom, all they tried to promote to me was 12 and 20 mil slabs.
Wow, okay.
Like, why are you doing this? And we went through a phase where the factories were producing so much of their slabs, they had none of their tiles. And I thought it was bizarre. I thought, why are you not producing the tiles that you sell every day, and you're focusing so much on these slabs? And now I get it.
Oh, okay.
Because they wanted to be ahead of the curve. They saw something coming because they're selling to the world. They saw something coming, and the amount of kitchens, the amount of, you would do it, you would know more about this than me, the amount of architects, building firms who are building straightforward kitchens they might be building an apartment block of 100 apartments. And they're building these very straightforward kitchens with a nice worktop on, and they're using 12 mil porcelain.
Yeah, no problem. Not even a question. Don't even bat an eyelid. Well, you go down to Wigmore Street, which is the street in the UK, I dare say, certainly in London, where Pog and Ponce, Matic, Boffy, people that are prepared to spend £200,000 upwards on a kitchen and appliances, I would say 80%, if not more, of the work surfaces that are on display, certainly in the windows that when you look in, they'll all be 12 mil.
Yeah.
But you'll come away from that and you start to creep out of Wigmore Street and start to spread out of London. The worktops seem to get thicker and thicker and thicker on the way because they just go, whoa, 12 mil, my sort of brain doesn't compute. I can't cope with that. But you've got 12 mil upstairs. Yeah. I've got 12 mil in my showroom. One of them, Jack, who's one of our sales guys, came back from a golfing thing with a few mates in France and stayed in Airbnb. He said there was 12 mil worktops in there.
Yeah.
It's just...
well, I guess it came from the timber, isn't it? What we said earlier, all worktops used to be oak, they used to be timber, and they're all 40 mil.
Yeah.
My dad used to build can-bale kitchens and stuff, and every single worktop I had growing up was either 40 mil oak or 30 mil oak or 30 mil granite or 30 mil marble or 30 mil. Everything was 30 mil. Everything was thick and chunky. Now everybody's like streamlined. Nice.
Yeah.
And I really like the 12 mil.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. When I bought that worktop from you for up in the showroom, I said to Paloma, I said, what do you sell? What? She said, well, 9 times out of 10, it's 12 mil. People don't want the 20. So it's like, it's less material. Yeah. And it does, obviously, you have to reinforce, I believe.
Yeah, put the lids in. So it's a solid top, like so it's wood all the way through rather than big sort of cavities in the units, which is easy to do because
I can stand on that.
Cutting up. So yeah,
I can stand on that.
And I don't know, I'm not sure why or what the reason is. It's obviously a cultural thing. But when I look at that, when talking from a business opportunity, my role is to get my team and the kitchen retailers and the stone fabricators speaking to developers who are building apartment blocks where they've got 100, 150 kitchens or 20 kitchens or 10 kitchens, 6, 8, or however it may be. But certainly multiples. And speaking to their design team and just saying to them, why don't you just use 12 mil porcelain? And we're still at the stage at the moment where the designers that work for those companies, and some of those companies are quite large, and they love a spreadsheet, as you know, because it's all about the land cost, the build cost, whatever, what they're going to get at the end of it. That's how developers make their money, and they're very good at it. But it's if someone's not saying to that designer, just use 12 mil worktops, my God, you're going to save a fortune. It's going to look amazing, and it's really kind of on trend. We have to do the work to put it in front of that person because otherwise they won't know. Yeah. They just simply won't know.
It's education, isn't it? We're sitting in an industry every single day. And this is something that I'm trying to get across at the moment. This is why I want to do the podcast, because there's so much in lots of different industries that you don't know until you know it. Unless you're surrounded by the porcelain ceramic world, you won't necessarily know you can use a 12 mil porcelain slab that comes 1.6 by 3.2 with vein through technology, and you can bullnose it, you can chamfer it, you can do the edge. You might not know that. Like you said to me earlier, you've got a job, there's 100 showers. The guy's going to buy the slabs, they're going to do you a template. Every single bit can be cut out. That's literally like someone's going in with a 6 mil slab, bang, on the wall, provided the colour you said. People don't know that. They don't understand that that's even a possibility.
It's about, well, I suppose it's going back. I suppose it's a benefit, but it's also a challenge for me when you're involved in an industry and you have done for a long time. When I'd look at GAs or plans of projects and stuff like that and wall elevations that someone else had drawn, you can almost, what you suddenly realise you're doing as you progress through your career, you're not looking at how beautiful it is. That's a given. If you're working with a good designer and you're working with a nice product, you can, in a nice house or a nice apartment, you think, wow, that's going to look amazing. But as you develop your career, you start thinking, well, that's not going to work. That's a really expensive way of doing that. Why have you done that? That's a bit peculiar. Oh my God, that's going to be such a waste of material. So you it's a great thing because in certain instances you can pass on that information to someone and you can make those changes and help. But it can be a bit exhausting sometimes, but it has to be done. And I think one of the things that is becoming really obvious is the training, and it's putting in front of I mean, there are a couple of interior designers that I've known for years that have used the porcelain where we've just delivered the slabs to site, and they didn't really know an awful lot about it until I spoke to them about it. One in particular, we delivered I think, 25, 30 slabs into Kensington somewhere. We dropped the A-frame off on the HIAB. And then the designer who's based in Dubai sends me videos of 2 bathrooms that they've done, just saying, oh my God, Lou, this is like amazing. I mean, and she's a serious designer. I mean, like I said, and what's funny is she's probably been walking through Dubai. She's lived there for like 15, 20 years, by the way. She's probably been walking past so much porcelain, not even realising it until she started to use it in some of her sort of, in some of her sort of projects. And that's okay. But in a way, it's quite funny. But in another way, there's a business opportunity there. And some of the videos she sent of the finished bathrooms were absolutely stunning. And I could tell she's blown away. And she's worked on properties in London that are in the tens of millions. So yeah, you can see there's.
It's a way of having that. It's not the real thing. You can't beat the real thing. Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. No matter how good tech gets, you can't beat the real thing.
Even for me, sometimes I look at stuff and I think, and maybe my eyesight as I'm getting a bit older, although I have had laser eye surgery, but I don't think that's helped. Sometimes there are certain ones you look at, you think, I don't know, and then you touch it. I think because of the nature of pores, you think, well, I still don't know. And it's getting better. It is getting better. I suppose the difference with it still is because of the nature of marble, where it comes in blocks and it's thick and it's solid and it's all the way through. You can carve it, you can mould it, you can do certain things with it that there's only a distance that I think the porcelain guys will go, because they don't really need to go the full hog with that, nor will they ever be able to. And they're big business. I mean, one of the biggest sort of eye-openers for me was the having spent so long in the marble industry and done lots of travelling across Europe, and seeing some of the biggest stone suppliers in Europe that are importing blocks from all over the world and then distributing slabs all over the world. I had no idea that the porcelain companies absolutely dwarf the marble business. They are a lot bigger. Like
I can't remember what it is. I think the Atlas.
I was shocked.
I think the Atlas Group. Now I might be wrong on this. I'll have to fact check this.
It's about 1.3, 1.4 billion euro turnover.
Yeah, I think it's about 6 million square metres a year in a 12-month period.
Yeah, but just the size, the capital that they hold, and they're really corporate, and that's the really interesting thing working with these suppliers. And maybe for someone like you, although you've got much more experience, but you might not have noticed it as much because you've always been buying from these guys. And the way they communicate with you is how they've communicated with you over the years. I can't really comment on that. But going from the marble business, which is very
family friendly, we'll dig that up for you, Louis.
That's all right. And it's natural, and and there's a little bit of a deal to be had. And I'm not saying there's none of that in the porcelain business, but I know when I look at that and I look at the factories that they are and the plants that they are, and the literature they produce, and the fact that they're selling to 100 countries globally and what their turnover is. That's not 2 or 3 guys having a bottle of wine at lunchtime, sort of buying a few blocks. It's a very different outlook. And as a distributor, you have to perform their expectations. You know, if we've come to you to do this distribution for us in the UK, and if you can't do it, we're going to find someone
else.
Yeah, and you know that. But it's a very different. But I quite enjoy it.
It is different. I love the industry. I love and it's a very small. It's a massive industry, but it's very small. People know people.
In the UK, would you say everyone knows each other?
Yeah. In the UK, people know each other, but it is evolving, and that's the most amazing thing about it. Is after the years of seeing when it used to be an old press and everything was pressed, now these continuer lines. They're just phenomenal. You will have seen it.
Yeah.
A 6 mil slab goes on, and it starts about 24 mil thick, and then the pressure is put on. and watching this, it's a big printer.
It's an enormous printer.
But the tech now of the 4D vein tech and stuff, and the honed and soft finish.
Yeah.
For me, obviously, I know a little bit about the marble industry. Back in the day, when my dad had the retail space, they used to bring stone marble from all over the world, Peru.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So, and to be able to now get that honed soft finish in a porcelain, I think it's a game changer.
Yeah, it comes with some challenges though, because once you the natural matte and sort of semi-satin finishes you'll probably know are the finishes that naturally come off the line. They go off, they cool down, they are what they are. And the producers of that, they love it because they know that is absolutely bomb-proof. Nothing's going to get through that finish. Everything's super safe. We understand where we are with it. And even actually the stone fabricators in the UK prefer that finish because they know it's not going to scratch, mark, etc., etc. But when you then take that finish away and put it underneath what is basically a marble polishing line, you start grinding and messing around with the faces. You then, by definition, start to open the pores up. Yeah. You get maybe a few machine lines in it. You get a few patches in it. You get uneven finishes and stuff like that you can see at slight angles. And for me, I'm okay with it. That doesn't stress me out, even if I get a few marks and scratches. But not everybody's like Loui. Some people expect perfection, and perfection on a slab that's 320 by 1.6, which is by definition 5.25 square metres in one sheet, that's been moved around in a factory in Italy, automated beyond belief, but still moved around, then crated and packaged, put on a truck, sort of bounced across the whole of Europe, unloaded in the UK, into a warehouse, then delivered to a fabricator who grabs it with a forklift that's swinging around in the air. The chances of that sort of machine polished, semi-matte, whatever finish going onto a machine and being nothing on there, it's quite a challenge. Yeah. And again, it's a learning process. People are having to understand that that you're going to get a few bits and pieces in there. You just are. And
the beauty with marble is you can hide those, can't you? You can
manipulate them.
You can manipulate them.
You can start to do that. People are finding ways to do that with the porcelain. We had quite a funny experience 2 or 3 weeks ago where we delivered some slabs somewhere and the guys phoned up and it was what we call a lead finish and it had some patches on it, but the patches weren't random, which probably would have been better because you can say it's inherent in the nature of that type of production. They were kind of in straight lines. And as I was driving to meet this fabricator, really stressed, it's up in the north. I was speaking to Palome on the phone who said, look, I think it's the spray-on silicon wax lines. I was driving there. We tried to get rid of these before, and when we've had problems with other slabs, we used these chemicals that people suggest and stuff like that. It just doesn't shift it. And as I was driving there, I was just thinking about silicon wax, where we got there. And it's just, when there are challenges, you want to meet the clients, you want to see it, you have to make the effort. It's all about relationships, even if it's not great news. I think they've taken 7 slabs, so it's quite a considerable. And they're nice guys. And on the drive up there, he was saying to me that particular finish is a challenge that they've had with lots of other suppliers. And I think he was just trying to make me feel a bit better about the situation. It didn't. I suppose in a way it made me think, well, it's not a problem with the factory that I'm buying from, my guys in Italy. It's just he said it's a challenge. And he named all the brands that produced that finish. We got there. And they'd laid a slab flat so that I can have a look at it in this huge warehouse. And I said to him, have you got a blowtorch? And he said to me, yeah, can I say they got this blowtorch? I was expecting like a big blowtorch, which I'm used to having when I was working in the workshop, big. With a gas canister, yeah. Got me this like little plumber's thing, that, like a small canister. And he said, what are you doing? I said, look, just heat. Can you do me a favour? Can you just heat up one of the patches? And he heated it up. And I couldn't see because I was standing in the wrong place. And he rubbed it with a bit of paper that he had in his hand. He goes, oh, it looks like that one's gone. I went, really? He went, yeah, it looks like that. I went, what about this one? There was a big one here. And he heated that up. And he went, it's gone. He went, why didn't you just tell me? I said, I didn't know. I said, it's only as I was driving up here, I was thinking, well, if it's silicon and if it's wax and it's used as the packers between, because they don't do like they do in the marble business, which is face to face, back to back, face to face, because of the production. They're all face to back, face to back. They're just all stacked in the right way. So they spray them with this like little packer. That's all. Everything is automated, as you know.
Yeah.
So I just thought, well, yeah, I've tried everything like you've tried everything. The only thing that I can think of, well, wax melts and silicon does to a degree as well if you hit it with enough heat. And he said to me, why didn't you start? I said, I didn't know. He says, look, it's worked. He said, look, we'll just cut it all to size and whatever patches you've got, we'll deal with it.
Yeah.
I did make a joke of it. I said, you're only allowed to use this process with my products. Everybody else's, you have to. So what I'm saying is we're starting to find out how to deal. There are scratch repair kits. There are things. There things catch up, don't they? There's a gap. There'll be what if you chip porcelain, it's a challenge. It's difficult to repair really well. But I dare say in a year or two,
there's some guys out there that are phenomenal at it, and some products. But I don't want to put anybody out. I don't want to put anybody off using porcelain because it is very, very, very durable.
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
And it's beautiful, and it doesn't. We've obviously the worktop up there. I'd use the sink cutout to make 2 lovely chopping boards, and we use the chopping boards.
Yeah,
and
it's bomb-proof.
The pink stuff is phenomenal for cleaning it.
Yeah,
but it's the same with anything. You're going to chip. You chip Corian, you chip Decton, you chip Silston. You
should have a look at my marble worktops, especially around the sink and where the dishwasher. Those are the 2 areas when people talk to me. I always just say to them, have massive sinks in your kitchen, please, everybody. Like, I don't know how we've ended up with having sinks.
Just use a bathtub.
Yeah, enormous sinks, and just be careful. But yeah, God bless my mother when she was living with me for her final years. This little Mediterranean woman with the biggest frying pan and saucepans in. And she'd just be smashing the life out of everything. It's chipped everywhere, and that's a natural stone. So has to be an acceptance of it. But yeah, there is that fine line between. I've always felt there's that fine line in manufactured worktops and stone between being really honest with the clients and then thinking, hang on a second, I'm scaring the pants out of these people. There's almost I'm going too far down this sort of rabbit hole of warning them about what can go wrong. Because you're the expert. You need to. When I've had guys working for me as assistants at Lever, and certainly on the sales side and the specification side, I always say to them, the most important role when it comes to selling is ascertaining the client's expectations. What is that person expecting that product to do when it's installed in their home?
Yeah.
Yeah, and people would come to us, oh my God, I just want a beautiful marble worktop. I've just been to Spain, Italy, Portugal, wherever on holiday, and we had marble worktops. And I said to them, yeah, but you're in your flip-flops, your shorts or your swimming costume, and you're all happy, you've got 2 or 3 weeks off, you've got your children there. You're not looking down your worktop with your head down going, well, no, come over that way. But you see that there's a dull patch there. It's really freaking me out every day. You're on holiday. Are you sure you're going to be all right with that? Because if I could take you back to that place you had on holiday and get you to really look at that worktop, you'll find that it's really quite organic how it's been used. And some of them would be, yeah, I'm fine, I'm cool with that, Loui, honestly, just relax, I'm all right, thanks for the advice. And some people just look at you and just think, oh no, I can't, like, or my husband or my wife, she just wouldn't be able to cope with that, or he wouldn't be able to cope with that. Can we just have granite? Yeah, and it's about ascertaining their expectations.
It's education, isn't it? And I think it's the same with everything. And the porcelain industry, the porcelain slab industry has sort of come, not out of nowhere, but if you did a kitchen 15 years ago and you were doing a kitchen today, it's come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You have, what's this? What is this? Like I go into kitchen showrooms and I don't know the difference between, is that porcelain? Is that Corian? Is that...
Yeah.
What is that? And I know the industry. So you imagine someone, they've just bought a house. They're building the house of their dreams. What do we have on the worktops?
Yeah.
I think porcelain is a very strong contender in this day and age.
And flooring, like even large floor. I mean, you come to my house, I've got 1550 by 1550 6 mil on the floor. So I've basically taken a whole slab, trimmed her out the outside and cut it down the middle in a matte finish. A brown.
Yeah.
6 mil.
And when I came to your house, I asked you if that was real marble, didn't I?
Yeah.
And you said no. And I was shocked by that. That's how good the technology is.
And I suppose if I wasn't in this industry, I wouldn't have been able to choose that colour in that space, because I know it wouldn't have performed, because I've got, at that stage when I did the house 5 years ago, all of my children were in their late teens. So I was expecting when I'm away on business that they're going to have 20, 30 people around the house, which they did. Stilettos, high heels, trainers, marching around in and out the garden, barbecues, whatever. So although I could have had a natural stone in there, I couldn't have had the colour that I wanted, because that brown in the natural form would just be absolutely destroyed, almost like a wooden floor, which kind of looks cool, but it goes through a process before it looks a bit used, and that process isn't particularly nice to view. So there are some real, and also I felt like I wanted to be loyal to the new business that I've just invested in, because I thought, I need to use this stuff at home. I can have pretty much whatever I want. I'm very fortunate in that state. But I want to try this 6mm, and also from a stonemason's perspective, you're thinking, well, 6mm, that's just like using a piece of A4 paper as a tile.
It's just meant 20, 30mm slabs on the floor.
Mentally, I don't know if I could cope with it. So I thought, no, go for it, go with it. And so that's what we've got. And I love it. It's been there, dogs, people with alcohol spillages, and it's just, when it's clean, it looks stunning. Yeah. And the colour is perfect. And again, I think even by talking to you, and these are the things that happens when I'm speaking to people like you about this industry. These light bulbs go off and I talk about things that I wouldn't have thought of. Being able to have a specific colour with a product in a large format. I mean, you're talking 1.5 metre squares. They're massive.
And the cost. Obviously, we've got to talk about the cost, because what would that floor, in percentage-wise, if you were buying that floor in the stone you wanted, in a 20mm, well, you probably need 30mm to go 150, wouldn't you?
No, 20mm would have been all right. 20mm would have been all right. The beauty of stone is, even if it cracks or breaks, you can still stick it down, you can repair it and machine it, you'd be hard pushed to, especially because it's got some veins in it. I'm going to be being really honest here. You're probably 25% less. Yeah, probably 25% less. Because the product is a part of it. It's the installation of it is quite a significant cost when it comes to that and the preparation, but still 25% less. But it's, like I say, just talking to you, it's having a product that in the porcelain performs so much better than the natural. Don't get me wrong, the natural is beautiful and it looks really nice.
When you put it down.
You can't even use it in the bathroom, by the way, that colour, because as soon as the soap hits it and the water, it's just gone.
Yeah.
You know? The maintenance on it would be significant. You need an annual, and we do that with the marble business. We have a maintenance division that, just because you do all these jobs for really super rich people and super wealthy people, and they use the vanity tops, they put aftershave perfumes, stuff like that, and then they go away for a bit and you need to come back and machine it. But they're good with that, and God bless them, they keep the whole business going. They pay people's mortgages and keep the business going, and we're very grateful for that. But not everyone wants to have someone in their house every 6 months polishing a vanity top up, or flooring. So it's interesting. As I say, talking to you, there's these sort of other things that come to light.
Yeah. Before we wrap it up, I want to talk about clay.
Oh, okay.
I want to talk about, obviously, we've spoke a lot about everything, but I want to talk about clay because I feel it's really important for people to know about you and about clay and about the challenges that you're tackling to make it more accessible to use a porcelain slab. Now, I come from a independent tile shop retail business. People come to us, we'd love a slab, Ash, we need one. Well, I've got to get that slab from Italy in a crate. The crate costs expensive. The transport cost is expensive. Oh shit, that slab's broken when it turns up.
Or it's not what you thought it was going to be.
Or it's not what, and then that's like logistically, for someone like me, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Now I know that you know what you're doing when it comes to large format slabs. So from our conversations, you stock a huge range here in the UK.
Yeah.
In 2 warehouses.
We do stock a huge range, but you know what it's like. People always phone up and they always want what you haven't got in stock.
You've got lorries
15,000 square metres in stock, and someone will always phone up for something. Yeah, you've got two, and they are. You can hear them huffing down the other end of the line. You think, oh my God, it's like the one thing that we haven't got, or we haven't got enough of. But yeah, no, you're right, and there has to be all joking aside, there has to be an acceptance that when you've got potentially 60 colours in 3 different finishes,
3 different thicknesses, you're into hundreds of products from one supplier. Yeah, so there has to be an acceptance from me, frustrating though it might be, because I'm normally the one that takes that phone call, by the way, for the one thing that we haven't got in stock. And I look at the guys that order the stock and think, well, why haven't we got that? Because you look at it from a sales loss perspective. But yeah, when I look at, I think there's an opportunity to support retailers, because we're not interested in retail, we're trade to trade. That's where I like us to be. We'll speak to the end users, and the end users can come and visit us, the end users can come to the showroom, the end users can come and have a look at the slabs anytime. And we educate them, because a lot of them will ask about the costs, and often when I'm speaking to them, say, I could give you a cost per square metre, but what are you going to do with the 3.2 by 1.6 leaning against your front garden wall? You can't do anything with it. It's a semi-finished product. This needs to go through a fabricator, or it needs to go through a tiler's hand. So we don't give them the prices for that. But just to answer your question, we want to be a company that holds 3.2 by 1.6 and also 278 by 120 on the 6mm, because they're smaller, they're easier to handle, and there's less waste. And we want to be able to say to retailers, look, okay, you might pay us more per square metre, but the price we're giving you is delivered either to site or to your warehouse or to your showroom, however you want to do it. And if there are any challenges, we can help you with that. If you break a slab, we've probably got more in the same warehouse. If you want something book matched, or you want something you need some assistance with stuff like holes cutting out or semi-fabricated so that it pushes your offering along to your end user, we want to be able to help with that. And I think I would hope that the people that run those businesses understand the offering that we're giving. Some people don't, because they literally say, well, I can buy it directly from the guys that I'm buying it from in Spain or Italy or Turkey or India or China, whatever, for that much a square metre. Why would I want to pay that much a square metre? But those guys aren't considering the handling, the risk, the delivery, the haulage, the time that it takes, etc. And I don't mind that, because they're probably not our clients anyway, But there's a group of people that understand that everybody has to make a little bit of money, and it's about the service, and they have to find the right clients, I dare say, that feel the same way about what they're having installed into their homes. So you're right. That's especially on the 6mm. Yeah, especially on, and I think that, even the 20mm. If you get 120mm slab at 1.6, 3.2, what's the weight on one of those?
I think it's about 50 kilos a square metre, so you're looking at 250 kilos.
Yeah.
So it's a lump.
For one slab, and that is like, but you guys have got the lorries,
you've got
the cranes, you've got the A-frames.
We've got gantry cranes in the warehouses.
I've been up to you, and I said to the guys, what are you doing? They're like, we're just checking this book match. And there's a 20mm slab hanging from the rafters, and they're checking it with another one on the A-frame.
Yeah, just to make sure. One of the things that I was educated recently, just while you're on that point, as you say, this is a big educational thing for me. When I was speaking to the guys in Italy, and we were saying, look, we've had some slabs where the book matching is out. Like, what's going on with the print? And one of those said, well, this. Let me explain to you, Louis. When these slabs, before they go into the kiln, they have a level of moisture in them for the elasticity and for the bonding process. When they come out the other side of the kiln, they can be anything between 6 and 10% smaller than they were before they went in. And when they shrink, they don't all shrink in the same place, because we trim them up afterwards before they go out and get racked up. And I was thinking, well, if you add on 6 to 10% onto 3.2, you're getting onto a slab that's started off at 3.6 long by probably about almost 2 meters wide.
Yeah.
So when that's a significant shrink. And what happens is that it's shrinking with the print already on it. So those, and they're all slightly at different places. So when you put two slabs together, the book match isn't always perfect. But it isn't in the marble business.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, answer me this. Is book match in marble? I guess it's never going to be.
It's not perfect, but again, it goes back to the expectations are, because it's man-made and it's all printed, it should be perfect. The print's in the wrong place. It's not. The print's in the right place. It's just the slabs are shrunk. And what we're trying to explain to people, we had recently a guy in Manchester had cut a slab for the back wall of a shower. But what he'd done is on the individual slabs, he'd cut both ends, so the cuts on the sides and the sides, put them together in the shower, only to find the book match just was out by miles. And we were saying, no, you should have put the book match together first and made that cut, because you have to cut them to adjust it, to make it work as good as you can. Sometimes it's perfect, sometimes it's a little bit out, sometimes
you get the
in
big
the middle.
Bits,
and it's out slightly. And then you cut the outside. But again, and it's that cross between a slab going into the porcelain sector where they're not used to slabs. But on the marble side, they'd be expected to, before they cut anything, they'd be making sure that book matches what it's supposed to be. So there's lots of, but I think there are a lot of advantages selling into the retailers. We want to help retailers, we want to support them. We want to be their go-to, where they just think, look, it's just easier. We're buying 3 or 4 slabs or 5 slabs. We buy it from clay. They're getting it delivered.
The thing is, though, the crate cost now from factories is anything between 150 and 250 euros. Now, I'm going 1.2 but 2.7s.
Yeah.
Okay. So that, if you're buying, it's 3.36 meters on a slab. If you're buying 2 slabs, that's still a hell of a... Then you've got the transport, because they're charging you 4 spaces for what you'd normally pay for, say you're paying £105 a tonne. You might get charged, they might do a little bit because they're stacking on top. You're still paying 350, so you're 500-600 quid for the crate and the transport before you've even bought, say, 2 slabs into the UK.
So that's putting on like a big chunk of money. It's putting on like 130, 140 pound a square metre. And you've got to make a margin out of it.
And then you've got to put your markup on it. Yeah. And this is what people don't quite get. Whereas the luxury of having, Loui clay, and it's interesting, you said something there about you're now going to do 1.2 but 2.78 slabs.
Yeah. We've been speaking to the guys in just on the 6 mil.
Just on the 6,
because it's a different sector. We'd see it as a different sector, a different... 6 mil is going into the tiling world, as it were. And as I say, they're very supportive of that. And it's taken 5 years for me to make that decision on it. And we sell a lot at 320 by 160 in the 6 mil. Don't get me wrong. And it's not that we're stopping that. It's just from a stocking perspective. I think on the 6 mil we might be better off with that size, because I think we can drive it. If I came into a showroom or came into your place, one of my sales guys did, and just said, look, we've got 10 colours, we're always going to hold them in stock in the UK. If you want to think these are the prices, and we can deliver it to you, we can deliver it to site.
They can come and collect it on a flatbed.
Yeah, and if you want your customers to come and have a look at it, we'll never sell to them directly. Yeah. It's fine. Then I think it's a decent offering. I think that you're constantly trying to ask myself, what do my customers want? What do my customers need? And sometimes I'm asking that question and putting myself in their shoes, because sometimes there's quite small businesses, as is clay, by the way.
Yeah.
But the dynamics of a company that's got maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 people working in it, they're all really, 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 really busy. So sometimes when you're sitting down, if you've got the opportunity to speak to them and you're explaining things in these terms, and you're saying, look, you're paying 130, 140 quid a metre for 1 slab. Okay, you might halve that if it's 2, so it's still 70 quid a metre on. Yeah. This is what we're selling it for. You're still going to make money out of it. And more importantly, we're reducing the risk. And the colours are beautiful, by the way. Then sometimes you almost have to sell it to them for it to make sense. You have to plant that seed.
Yeah. And I think it does. With the thing with slabs is, and I've said this for a hell of a long time, because I've looked at it. I've looked at importing slabs from a factory. I've got slabs. I've had slabs. I've dealt with slabs. And I think from an independence point of view, or anybody, you either do it or you don't. And when I first came and saw you, I said, God, you've really gone and done this, haven't you? You've gone,
I know.
And I know a lot of people that have tried to do slabs, and it's a completely different ball game. Even to selling 120, 120s, it's a completely different ball game. You can't, a 120, 120, one man can lift that.
Yes.
They can pick it up. But a slab, you can't do it.
Yeah. And it goes back to what I was saying, that grey area, isn't it? Where the porcelain guys are now dealing with slabs, which they're a bit like, oh. And the marble guys are dealing with porcelain, which they're a bit like, oh. So someone's in the middle, i.e. clay, because we only do porcelain slabs. We don't sell natural stone slabs or any other products. We're just focused on that. And in a way, it's quite a disciplined business. It's quite a disciplined focus, and it makes us, the strategies change when you go down dead ends and you think, well, this hasn't quite worked, or these guys aren't quite working. But it's, in a way, hopefully it will start to sort of clear some of that fog out the way. And I suppose what will either happen is that they'll both meet in the middle, and both the porcelain guys will be able to deal with slabs and the marble guys will be able to deal with porcelain. Or there'll be a whole new industry that will pop out, people like me who are just selling porcelain slabs, and there'll be guys who just do the cutting and installation of porcelain slabs. They won't be interested in the small stuff, and they won't be interested in the natural stuff. I don't know yet what that answer is yet, but...
It's still a new business. It's still, the curve's still going up, isn't it?
Yeah,
with
yeah.
porcelain and slabs. The versatility. I mean, the basins that people are making out of the slabs look phenomenal. Real good addition, and that's out the 6 mil.
Yeah.
The bathrooms, the baths, everything it's there. It's ready to go. It's just educating people, understanding where it can be used, how it can be used, and how to handle it.
Yeah, exactly that. So
And I think
watch this space.
And I think that's where Clay's got. I think you've done really well.
Yeah, no, it's
without
great. You
blowing
say
smoke
that.
up your arse.
Yeah.
I really think that you've done well. You've got the gantry cranes, you've got the stock, you've got the slabs, you've got the vehicles, you've got the knowledge.
Well, I suppose in these situations, you're obviously financially invested, but you have to be physically and mentally invested as well. And I would say with all of the team that I've got, and I think there's probably 7 or 8 of us, including the guys that do the deliveries, we're all really invested. Obviously, they're not financially invested. I am. It'd be nice to see some money coming back at some stage. But this is, like I say, like I've often said to you, this feels like a code that I'm trying to crack, and it's, the money will come. It will come later if I get it right, or not if I've got it wrong. But I genuinely believe in the product. I believe in the guys behind me, and I believe in the industry. And it's I'm very fortunate, I feel, to be involved in something that is linked to an industry that I've been involved in for a very, very long time.
Yeah, wicked.
Well, thank you very much, Loui.
Thank you, mate. It's not often you speak to someone who speaks more than you do. I should imagine.
And if anyone's looking to learn more about large slabs, you're a fabricator, you're a kitchen showroom, Loui has 2 warehouses, one in Wimbledon and a new one in Manchester. He stocks a hell of a lot of slabs. So if you're looking to incorporate slabs, the team are fantastic. Give them a call, check out their website, clayinternational.co.uk. We'll put the link in the bio. And yeah, thank you very much, Loui.
It's my
been a pleasure.
Anytime. Thanks, mate.
See you in a bit.
Cheers.